Hey, welcome to Ask Nutrition is Deepa's another powerful podcast and video cast episode. And today, the question that I'm going to answer is how to reach your health goals while juggling or maintaining your work life balance. And to answer that question, I have no other than Dr. Mark Gomez, a award-winning internist in the Chicagoland area, a podcast host of To Your Health with Dr. G podcast, and most importantly, a advocate of public health, where he promotes and believes in enriching life of others through wellness. So this couldn't have been a better match, Dr. G, and welcome to Ask Nutrition is Deepa's podcast.
Hi, Deepa. This is awesome. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Thanks for having me on. And just really just talking about this journey. I can't wait to get granular. You pose a great question, and I'm happy to offer your listeners and the audience at large some solutions. So thank you for having me on.
No problem. My pleasure and honor, really. So, Dr. G, would you agree that all of us here are struggling to strike that work-life balance and have this goal of reaching the health goal, your health?
So I'll say this, this is a question that I have every day with my patients in my clinical practice that I see. And how do we strike that balance of work and life and still maintaining health? And one of the things that I always ask people to do is I like to do a little exercise, Deepa, when I see them. So what I'll do is I'll have them take a piece. We'll take out a piece of paper, and what we do is we grid out 24 hours. So we just kind of draw some lines, have some lines coming across, intersecting, but you have 24-hour time slots. And so what I have them do is I then have them create one column, which will be your responsibilities, your the things you have to do, that kind of obligations. And then the second column will be some discretionary stuff. So I'll have in any given 24-hour cycle on a work day, if we're working Monday through Friday, we've time for obligations and then time for discretion. And so what I'll have people do is I'll have them shade in the areas on a grid on what's obligations. So obligations, for example, are sleep. We got to sleep. Work. We have to work. We may have to commute. Those are obligations. We have to eat at some point. And those are some obligations that we have. And then under discretionary time, you might have things like, okay, where am I going to put in personal development? I'm going to put in relationships. If you're a parent, parenting. If you're a spousal time, and then certainly exercise and cooking and things like that. So I did this test myself, Deepa, and in any given 24-hour time frame, I only have 4 hours of discretionary time and 20 hours of obligations. So I was really sad, Deepa, when I showed this, because I actually showed it to my wife, and I was like, this is really, really sad, because then my obligations, my discretionary time became to like parenting only gets like 40 minutes a day. Marriage gets 40 minutes a day. Personal health gets 40 minutes a day. So I challenge people to start out by gridding their day out and try to see where obligations are and what discretion is, and then work from there.
Such a interesting and impactful idea you just shared, because I personally feel that we can steal some time,
Yes.
and we can. I guess multitask is a wrong question, but we can efficiently use our time.
Absolutely.
So similar to your exercise,
Yeah.
I have my patients do a meal plan and prep exercise, because that's where they struggle the most, because people don't find time to meal prep, and that leads to impulsive eating, so on and so forth. And I tell them, with God's grace, we have all the appliances in the world. We have instant pot, we have ovens, we have slow cooker, all that stuff. So I say, if you are working, for example, I'm sitting here, but my instant pot is cooking beans. So if I'm working, I make sure that simultaneously something in the kitchen is working with me.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, I will say, Deepa, you're right. You say sometimes you make the multitask.
Yeah.
You can realize that you can actually have discretionary time and some obligations done at the same time.
Yeah.
I would say this, of course, as you and I both know, being professors, what we do is time is our biggest and most precious commodity. It's something that obviously that we can't buy more of or can't buy back. So it's almost like we don't have the time to not do these kind of behaviors that'll lead to fulfillment of our health and work balance.
Absolutely. And I also try to convey the message that if you think that taking care of yourself is hard, it could be finding time to exercise or uh, cooking, your nutritional needs and so on and so forth. Just imagine the amount of time we would end up spending going to the doctor, sitting in the waiting room, and then going through the drive through to pick up your prescription, and this scanning, that scanning, uh, this MRI, that surgery. So both things are hard. So I would rather choose my heart, which is at least going to take me on a healthy path.
So Deepa, it's actually when I think about, as you try to figure out which direction you're going, one of the things I like to tell my patients, and I try to, I think us as clinicians, we have to practice what we preach.
Yes.
Even though we're not perfect, I think we still do consciously make a lot of efforts. And that's what I'm really asking people, our clients and our patients that we serve is can we at least try to make some efforts, but in order to make the efforts, we have to kind of know where we're going. What is your why? And I think if people can understand what their why is and say, hey, I've got 23 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds before the next day starts again, what can I do during that time frame that can help me continue to be the best version of myself? One of the things I always like to tell people is those first 5 minutes of the day, before like everything starts, maybe the house is quiet, your family's still asleep, the dog's not barking, and things like that. And so, but maybe those first few moments, you wake up 5 minutes earlier and you just have those moments to you. You work on your breathing, maybe box breathing, in 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, pause for 4 seconds. Those kind of things can help set the tone for the rest of your day, because once you go to work, you're on somebody else's time and somebody else's dollar. You might not get those times to do things. So when you get home after the end of a busy day, you might say, oh my gosh, I'm ready to go exercise. I said I was going to exercise. And then you get home and we know how it is, Deepa. Sometimes like, I just want to sleep.
Yes. So that's another, what can I say, obstacle that I see patients suffer with, right? Like, what do you do when you are just not feeling like doing it?
Yeah. Sometimes what I do is I just say,
possible.
Sometimes what I do, if it seems impossible, I just try to step away from that situation. And that's where you just have those few moments where you can say, you know what, hey, I've got a million obstacles I got to do, a million barriers. Can I just take those few moments, even if it's 2 minutes, even if it's 60 seconds, to pause? And then when you're ready, you look introspectively on yourself. You kind of say, all right, is my breathing good? I mean, it's almost like if you go to like the mechanic, Deepa, you get your car service, like you're doing kind of systems checks. So I like to do system checks all day long, but just for a few moments. So I'm like, okay, brain good, hearing good, eyes good, heart good, breathing good, my stomach feels fine. Is my bladder full? Did I go? But you can do a quick systems diagnostics, and then when you're ready, you integrate yourself back into things.
That is just so perfect that you wake up and you do your initial diagnostic. Starting, that's probably the easiest MRI or X-ray you can do on your own.
It's almost like you have to check in with yourself, but we have to give ourselves permission to check in on ourselves. One of the buzzwords that we hear a lot about in health and wellness right now is that concept of self-care. And such a big buzzword, but self-care is not a novel concept. It's a concept that's been around for decades. It just seems like there's more of a consciousness and awareness of it now, more than ever in the age that we're in. But self-care is never selfish. In order for you to give more love of yourself to others, you have to show yourself a little bit of love too, and not necessarily feel guilty about it. But we have to be vulnerable in what we do and purposeful too.
Absolutely. And I say this all the time, that in fact, not taking care of yourself is selfish, because we impose more on others. Like if I fall sick, others are going to suffer equally because of me, So I think self-care is the priority. But again, if we it's a big word, we feel, but it's really very simple. I mean, there's nothing selfish about taking deep breaths or drinking water. I mean, and that is self-care.
Yes, it is.
finding time to sleep and not devoting 2 hours to the social media is, I don't think, is 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 selfish. So, Dr. Gomez, can you touch on maybe how to prioritize? Like sometimes people get their priorities all mixed up.
Yeah.
How do you guide them?
Yeah, very good question. And when I think about it in my clinical practice, it even things that I apply to myself, because I'm not yet a finished product. I'm still a work in progress in this journey. A lot of people will say, "Oh, Dr. G, you've really got yourself together," and I don't look at it that way. I still say there's still more to do. There's still more growth to happen. But when you're motivated to do things and to make change and you know your why, it becomes more clear your journey. And so for me, when I say like, how do you prioritize? I say number one, know what you want to do. You got to answer these couple questions first. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And then lastly, once you understand the what and the why, you have to say, how are we going to do it? But we want to be realistic too. So I say prioritizing is setting some goals, but they should be goals that are attainable. We shouldn't think of like, if we're going to look at like, okay, I want to get on a weight loss regimen and I want to lose 30 pounds. That might be a long-term goal, but let's talk about what we can do right now to lose the first half pound or the first 1 pound or maybe 2 pounds. I think when you take it like that and maybe have smaller segments, not only do you not get frustrated if you're going in the wrong direction or you can run into a wall, you can still keep really good perspective on things. So I think it's about little steps, prioritizing in little ways, and let's celebrate some of the smaller victories before you celebrate the bigger ones.
That is so important that we sometimes we forget to enjoy or you know, just celebrate these small things. Now, on the same note, I want to ask you, people always feel health goal, or it has to be, like you said, huge weight loss and completely changing your life 180. Please help us understand that the current situation of our work life. Okay, we all, like you said, we all are the victims of it. What's the minimum that one can do to and still has good effect on the health?
So great. That's a great question. And I think the first thing is yes, when we're at work, we always have the pedal to the metal in our life. You know, I love that phrase, pedal to the metal. It sounds really cool if you're going to like talk about driving a car, but it's not the way how we should be focusing on how we drive ourselves through life. We have to be willing to take a pause to refocus on what our goals are and then allow ourselves to then go from there. But if we don't take our foot off the pedal, then we are going to burn out. We're going to have many health complications that can happen. We can be feeling the obesity epidemic. We can be feeling insulin dysregulation. We can be feeling cortisol levels going up and everything. We can be feeling blood pressure, heart issues. We can be feeling just poor GI health, the mind-body connection, destroying our gut microbiome through chronic stress. And so there's so many different facets that happen. And I think like we should be talking about this as clinicians to people, that if we stay on this current path of pedal to the metal, we're not setting ourselves up for longevity, vitality, or even quality of life. We're going to set ourselves up for more medications, more medical conditions, hospitalizations, acute illness, and so forth and so forth. And then you're going to maybe even ruin relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. So we got to make sure we have to take those pauses, but little steps to get the work-life balance. And then hopefully once that becomes clear, and I always tell people, talk to your doctor, talk to your healthcare professional, talk to anybody that's willing to listen to you, and you can go from there.
Absolutely. And I also feel that when you are juggling with so many things, it's important that we ask for help.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. There are so many of us willing to help. You know, you can find like-minded people to support you with that energy and kind of help you. There's nothing wrong in reaching out to a friend and say, hey, come on over and we will make a salad together. Yes. You know, it doesn't have to be
it's like
sit down movie watching party.
It's like when we put ourselves in other shoes, when we show empathy, it does really help the community grow. And so,
Yes.
sometimes we think about right now, there's a lot of dangers with potentially with social media, and you're online all the time, and things like abusive language and all that kind of stuff. But there actually have been maybe some good things where people can find a community of people that are uplifting. And this is what I tell my high school kids that are patients of mine, and they're in their wellness journey as well too. I want them to have foundations that'll last from their teenage years, because I see 18 and above in my practice. So I see them in 18 and above, and I want them to set those foundations now of health and well-being till they're in their 80s. And I always talk about having the community of people that uplift you. If somebody's not letting you, allowing you, and supporting you to be the best version that you can be and help you achieve your goals, and that person probably should not be in our lives. And so sometimes when it comes to health and wellness and balancing everything with work and life, if there's any toxicities involved, we have to be willing to part with those toxicities.
Absolutely. It is like, detoxing our
Yeah.
body because of bad food is the same thing. We have to detox our negative energy from the environment that
Yes.
we are in.
Yeah.
That's really it is. So, Dr. G, as we part, what are give us some high level your take home message for the audience, for the viewers.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. And really, I go like this with people. This, and I'm going to kind of tell your viewers and tell the audience. This is how I kind of approach things with my patients. Number one, be kind. Kindness is everything when it comes to having a good wellness plan. The things that we do, paying it for others and not asking for anything in return. Kindness is a great thing, because when you have that kindness and you have the community, we create a powerful hormone, and it's called oxytocin. And oxytocin is the love hormone, colloquially speaking, the love hormone. I like how saying it like that. But what it does is it confers foundations of continued longevity and thriving that you can use in everything that you do in life. So I would say be kind. Number two, be your authentic self. We have to be ourselves. If you're living somebody else, if you're living your life according to somebody else's kind of guides, you're not living your own life. You're not living your best life. You're living somebody else's life. And that could take away from your broader perspective. Number three, I'll say I got two more. Number three, be part of something bigger than yourself. I think when we come together as a community for a common purpose, we can make some impactful change. Right now, with the current pandemic that we're still mired in, this has been a time to hopefully have introspection and reflect, to then focus on what's truly important to you. And then last but not least, I will say this as a physician, I'll say this: make sure, if you haven't seen your doctor for your annual physical once a year, I always got to throw that in there, Deepa. It's like, if you haven't been seen for annual physical, you owe it to yourself. I know, we're so busy, work, life, family, and we forget to turn that lens internally. But if you don't get checked, that can be a challenge. Again, as the saying goes like this: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So that's what I got for you.
Absolutely. That is perfect. So if somebody wants to see you as a doctor, where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple ways to find me. I'll give you my information, but of course, so I'm a board certified internal medicine physician. I work at Edward Hospital, so they can simply go to www.eehealth.org, and that's for Edward Elmhurst Health. They can find me there and search for Dr. Mark Gomez. They can also find me at mdvip.com, and search for Dr. Mark Gomez. And then last but not least, they can also check out my new podcast. You can find me on my new podcast. It's on my website at drmarkgomez.com, but the newest podcast called Health 360 with Dr. G. They can find it at health360podcast.com. So a lot of different handles to find me. And as it says, it takes a village. This has been so awesome chatting with you, Deepa. This is awesome.
Absolutely. And the viewers, the audience, make sure that I am going to put out a meal planning template, a meal prep and meal planning template for you to ease your journey into food preparation and help you reach your health goals while juggling your work-life balance. Dr. G, thank you for coming in and for your time. And I know you're super busy, but this is what fascinates me, and this is exactly what out of our busy lives, you made an attempt to come and be here and share your wisdom. I'm grateful. So
Well,
thank you
Tika.
again, and I will see you everybody soon. And thanks everybody for watching, for sending the questions and the comments. It means a lot to me. And see you everybody next week. Thank you.